Car chases are dangerous and unpredictable. Viewer discretion advised.
Breaking news now on CBS 2 News at 6. A high-speed chase on the 405 freeway in the Sepulveda Pass.
CBS 2's Gordon Spencer is live overhead in Sky 2. Gordon?
Yes, Andrea and Peter, you can see that Honda with the turn signal on now getting into the carpool lane. CHP in pursuit. We understand this began over in Altadena for a felony. It was the stop, and that's when the pursuit began. The person did not stop when the officers tried to stop him, so the pursuit began out of the Altadena area into Pasadena onto the 110. We understand at one point he exited the 110 and off on 43rd, but got back on the westbound 10. And now he has made his way to the northbound 405. He's going through the Sepulveda Pass. Again, CHP, you can see the units behind him right now. We have seen him close in on him, you know, real close, and then they've all certainly backed off as well. So it's been a combination of how they've sort of attacked this pursuit with this person that's wanted here that came out of the Altadena area. We understand there's some traffic ahead here on the 405. Of course, they'll be coming up to the 101 transition as well, but he's continuing. It looks like he's going to continue on this northbound 405 as he comes out of the Sepulveda Pass.
And Gordon, what speeds has this car been going at? He looks like he's going much faster than traffic.
Yeah, Andrea, we haven't seen him do extreme fast speeds, but we have clocked him at around 80 miles an hour. So he has certainly gone just over the flow of traffic. We have not seen him run into any sort of situations with tough traffic. Obviously, Sunday afternoon traffic is a little lighter. We have not seen him do anything erratic. We understand there's one occupant in this vehicle. We do not know if this person might be armed or whether it's a male or a female. We just saw, looked like his arm or some kind of motion inside that car. We don't know if he might have just dropped something out of the car or not, but you can see his arm is some kind of motion going on inside that car. Maybe it's just his hand on the steering wheel, but certainly passing the traffic as it continues here on the northbound 405 just out of Sepulveda Pass.
And Gordon, I understand he was making criminal threats at some point.
That's right, Peter. That's what we understand as well. We do not know those details, but criminal threats were made, and then the felony stop was attempted. He did not stop, so that's just when the pursuit began. And again, it started over in Altadena and was on the 110 for some time. Looked like he might exit for some time, but he got right back on the 110, then transitioned to the 10, and he made it all the way over to the 405 where he started going northbound, and that's where he's continuing here right now.
And Gordon, do we know if there's a passenger inside the car?
Not that we've heard, Andrea. We understand, according to what we're hearing from CHP, there might just be one occupant in this vehicle. I'll pull out again, and you can see sort of the CHP pattern here behind that one vehicle.
And we see several.
Yeah, go ahead, Peter.
Several CHP vehicles tailing this driver right now. Gordon, you mentioned he went into the carpool lane at one point. Traffic very light there, but you also mentioned it seems that things are going to be getting more congested the further north this driver goes.
Yeah, that's always an issue, possibly, Peter. We thought maybe there would be some, we heard there was going to be some traffic at the 101 and the 405 transition, but it got a little heavy, but it was more onto the 101. He stayed on the northbound 405. I'm sort of looking ahead, peeking out the window of the helicopter here going forward, and I do not see any slowdowns as far as I can see. So it looks like it's pretty wide open, and he's just kind of cruising along. Again, CHP, we saw quite a number of units. We saw some units pull off, maybe some relief units come in, and we've also seen them really approach that car within, I would say 25, 30 yards, and then they back right off and continue just to follow at a safe distance, and look like we saw another unit maybe getting onto the freeway. But there you see a pretty good number of units behind this vehicle. There I count 5 and a couple of motorbikes as well. So they're continuing just to kind of really follow at a safe distance right now. No intention of trying to make this pursuit come to an end anytime soon.
Yeah, really all they can do right now is just follow behind. It's not like they can do a pit maneuver or put down spike strips at this point.
That's right, Andrea. It's very dangerous to try to do that, on a freeway when there's a lot more traffic. If they know he's going to exit, or once he does exit, they can perhaps come up with a plan to then maybe deploy some of those spike strips. But doing it on a freeway where you don't know what lane he might be in, a pit maneuver, obviously very dangerous on the freeway as well, with all the other cars on. If there's some kind of a threat that occurs, they might take some more urgent action. But right now, with the speeds he's been going, maybe 80 miles an hour at the most, and he's not really threatening any other vehicles. They just continue to follow him. They're going to keep doing that at a safe distance right now.
And just to recap for our viewers who are just joining us, this all began in Pasadena about a half hour ago. Gordon Spencer saying that police tried to pull this driver over for making criminal threats. At that point, the driver took off, crisscrossing across several Southern California freeways, including the 110, the 10, and also now the 405. He's in Van Nuys. This driver reaching speeds up to 80 miles per hour at some points, weaving in and out of several lanes, including the carpool lane at some point. Right now, several CHP vehicles following this driver. It's unclear, of course, exactly where this driver is headed. And again, we are still learning more information as we continue to follow this. But at this point, it appears this driver is not slowing down. He is still going.
And Gordon...
Yeah, that is true, Peter.
You were saying earlier,
Go
it's
ahead,
not really clear right now if there's a passenger. At this point, we only know about the driver. And at one point, he had his window down. I don't know if you can zoom in and see if that window is still down. And if you said at one point he maybe was putting his arm out, it looked like maybe he was dropping something. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I zoom in here a little bit, Andrea, a little bit more, and you can sort of see that he does still have those that window down, it appears, right now. And looks like, he's got both hands on the steering wheel. We haven't seen anything erratic inside that vehicle at all. So things seem to be, if you didn't know it, if CHP wasn't behind him and besides him going over the speed limit, you wouldn't know anything different. But it looks like he's just continuing to move along here in the fast lane here on the northbound 405. And really light traffic, as you can tell right now, as we continue
normally
to
at this
make our
time,
way.
as we all know, the 405 freeway at 6 o'clock is very congested, but because it's a Sunday, unfortunately that plays into the suspect's favor because he has not been able to slow down at any point. Traffic has been very light. We've seen him move around cars very easily. The CHP still just following at a safe distance, several CHP vehicles. So at this point, it doesn't seem like there's really any hindrance to slow this driver down as he continues this dash to freedom up the 405 freeway, now in Van Nuys.
Absolutely, Peter. I think that's the plan. They'll just continue to follow, and they'll kind of wait it out, see if they can get him to, to finally exit and just decide to get up. You never know as he passes Devonshire. You never know. He might, be talking to some folks, some friends or family. Maybe that will help perhaps try to talk him into, just pulling over and giving up. He knows there's no escape, at this point, as he just continues here on the northbound 405, a CHP unit right there, closing in a little bit more on him. But again, you mentioned it, Peter, it's a Sunday afternoon, northbound on the 405, not a lot of traffic at all. You can see even some of the cars they're noticing. It looks like he's pulling over to the right side now, but some of these cars are actually yielding to the right as the CHP officers with their lights move over. As you see him approaching now the 118, I don't know if he's going to try to make that transition or not, but he's still on the northbound 405, and that one CHP unit still behind him, but then he's got some support right there behind that as well.
And it was just last week, Gordon, we were following a chase, and the driver was driving for quite a while and just ran out of gas. So that's always a possibility for the CHP's favor as well. As we don't know, where this person is headed to, if he's just going to drive until his car runs out of gas. And
you could just see how empty these freeways are right now. Barely any traffic as this driver just continues to speed up the 405 freeway, now in Mission Hills, at speeds up to 80 miles per hour. But as you can tell, this driver does not have many things slowing him down, just how open this freeway is.
And he just used his blinker over there, which is kind of a funny thing. As you were saying, Gordon, it doesn't, if you didn't know that there was a chase necessarily going on, you would think this is just a normal driver because he's not speeding anywhere above 80 miles per hour or so.
Right, he is making a transition now, Andrea and Peter, to the 118 East. 118 eastbound is where he is headed now. As you can see him make that transition. And again, you're right, there is absolutely no traffic
that
is getting in his way at all.
So this could go on for quite some time. And again, This is now the latest freeway this driver has gotten on. He was on the 110, the 10, the 405, now the 118 eastbound in Mission Hills. And again, it's a Sunday evening, 6 o'clock. A lot of people not on the roads right now, which is why this driver's been able to just continue to cruise 80 miles an hour with very little to slow him down. It's unclear, of course, exactly where this driver is headed. But as you can see, he actually is using his turn signal, which is pretty unusual considering he's already breaking the law. There's really no point to use the turn signal, but apparently he's still motioning where exactly he's going to the CHP vehicles that are in pursuit.
And to recap for our viewers, this all started about half an hour ago. Excuse me, Gordon. It started in Altadena. He was stopped for, or tried to be stopped by police for making criminal threats, a felony, and that driver just did not stop, and that's how this chase started about a half an hour ago. It looks like that CHP
continuing
cruiser
on that 118 eastbound. Yeah, look, I wasn't sure if he might, the reason sorry about interrupting, but I thought maybe he might jump on that southbound 5. Because that's sort of where, you know, might take him back to where he originally was, but it looks like he's going to continue on this 118 through this area right now.
And Gordon, you've covered, as we all have, several pursuits in the past. What makes this so unique perhaps is the fact that the freeways are so open. So in a situation like this, on a Sunday evening with very little traffic, what are the options that law enforcement have when you have a driver who is just able to continue at a high rate of speed with very little to stop him?
Yeah, honestly, Peter, I think, you know, it's just a waiting game. There's not really anything that they can do. Again, the pit maneuver is kind of out of the question here, you know, in the middle of a freeway where you got other cars. Same with deploying any spike strips, something you don't really want to do because it's too unpredictable. There's too many freeway lanes, and you would never know, you know, which ones to deploy this in, and then you endanger other vehicles as well. Again, unless he gets off and they can sort of start to corner him and figure out, you know, okay, we've got him now sort of trapped in a certain area, then they can start maybe, you know, deploying some of those spike strips and maybe move in immediately and try that pit maneuver on him. But again, doesn't seem to be any huge threats. We don't know if he or she has a weapon or not. We understand there's one person in this vehicle. Again, a felony threat. We don't know what the felony threat was that was made, but again, it's just a follow. I mean, it's a pursuit, but they're just going to continue to follow him in this manner with the CHP vehicles. They're, you know, keeping their distance, but once in a while they'll approach, get a little closer. But again, no threats. As you mentioned, he's using his turn signals. He's not going any real excessive speeds, maybe upwards of 80 miles an hour, but we have not seen that really vary a whole lot. We haven't seen him go from slowing way down to, you know, over 100 miles an hour. So he's keeping it pretty consistent as he now is onto the 210 toward Pasadena. So maybe he is going to make that turn to where this sort of all began when we first heard that this pursuit began in
maybe
Altadena.
He's making a loop back to Altadena. And it's kind of a good reminder for drivers. Unfortunately, Peter, you were saying we cover these pursuits quite often. And as a driver, we should always be aware of what's going on around us. Listen to those sirens. Look in our rear view mirrors and our side mirror to see if possibly a chase is going on so we can move out of the way. Because what we've seen here, the roads are pretty clear, but it looks like some drivers are kind of getting out of this driver's way as to...
Yeah,
like
sorry, Andrea. Okay. Yeah, we had to sort of adjust our signal up here and getting very difficult to hear. But we're continuing. If I missed something, you say I'm sorry. It's we're continuing here on the 210 eastbound, and you can see it's just completely wide open as far as traffic goes. I mean, we do not see anyone. You would think that the freeway would be closed down or something. The way it looks so wide open right now.
And that's also partly why this
IFB is really scratchy.
And that's partly why this is so difficult to sort of know when this will come to an end, because as far as we're concerned, this driver could just be continuing to go at a high speed since there's no traffic interfering with his speeds right now. You can see he's now on the 210 in Pacoima, using his turn signal again. Yep. Very unusual, but he has not gotten off the freeways at any point during this pursuit. This has been going on for more than 45 minutes now. This driver, it's unclear where he's headed, but sort of going back into the direction where this all began, heading towards the area at Altadena where this all began.
Yeah, anything you can do with IFB, it's
at around 5:30 this evening. Thanks. But you know, it's fortunate in a way that there aren't many cars on the freeway. But again, it's also tough because now this driver has nothing to sort of slow him down or entice him to try to get off that freeway. And
a lot of times with these chases, they kind of end on their own. One, they've run out of gas, and two, sometimes they're on the phone with either family members or police officers to try to convince them to stop their car on their own. So we can only hope that is happening right now.
And Andrea, you mentioned that chase that happened last week. That actually was an example of a car that actually had to come to a forcible stop because that driver ran out of gas. So who knows if it's going to happen again with this chase. But again, you can see
awfully close to the edge
that
there.
driver came close to the wall there. But as far as it appears, this driver has no intention of slowing down. He's been going at a pretty steady high rate of speed, about 80 miles per hour for over 45 minutes now. It looks like, was that a cell phone that we just saw through the window there that this driver may be using to communicate?
Yeah, I don't know, Peter, sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you, but it looks like, there was some reflections. Now he's putting his brake lights on here, so he's slowing down a little bit. Latuna Canyon is what he's nearing right now. I don't know if he's, let's see, maybe he's going to run into some traffic. We do see brake lights, so looks like we are seeing some of the first traffic that he might be running into, so that could change things here a little bit as CHP continues to close in on him. But I saw brake lights, and I did see something. It looks like he has rolled up his window now. But again, he's using brakes now because of the traffic now that's ahead, and all that traffic as well is putting on their brakes.
And what options do the CHP have if they get closer to that wanted driver in traffic? It's almost more of a danger to the drivers around him.
That's right, Andrea. I mean, sometimes they close in to perhaps help them maybe view inside this vehicle if they can, to see if anything that might help them. Now it looks like he's speeding up quite a bit. Anything that might help them, whether that's seeing another occupant, whether helping visually to see if he may be waving a weapon around or something. Anything that might give them an advantage. Once in a while we'll see him close in. It also, it might give the driver an idea that, hey, I should probably pull over because CHP is behind me and they're closing in on me, and then they'll back off, to sort of, maybe they don't want to disturb this person too much. If they are armed or angry for some reason beyond what they would want, then perhaps he could do something that would be very dangerous, and they certainly do not want that as well.
Well, let's remember, Gordon, this all began because this driver was apparently making criminal threats of some point. We don't know if there's a weapon in this vehicle, but again, that's the reason why this all began in the first place. Law enforcement trying to pull this driver over in Altadena, that driver then taking off after making those criminal threats. Gordon, can you tell us exactly where is this driver right now on the 210 freeway?
Let's see if I can get you a marker here, Peter. I know, he passed Latuna Canyon just a couple of miles back, and of course he's making his way, toward the Pasadena, Altadena area. So again, that's where it began, and we're wondering if, perhaps he's done the big circle. He took the 10 west, he got onto the northbound 405, he got on the 118, and then onto the 210. So trying to get you a marker here on the actual exit, but again, he's continuing here on the 210 eastbound. Traffic got heavy for a moment, and now you can see it's widened, it's sort of opened back up, and CHP again right there behind him with several units in pursuit.
Compared to the other drivers, it looks like he's going pretty fast. Is he still only at about 80 miles per hour, Gordon?
Yeah, Andrea, at one point I think, we did see him accelerate, maybe getting through some of that traffic. But again, yeah, we've continued to clock him around 80 miles an hour. Maybe he hit 90 there a few minutes ago, but nothing again that, as you can see, as he passes some of these vehicles, he doesn't look like he's, blowing past him. He's passing them certainly, but not going excessively faster.
And now darkness is beginning to fall. This all began when the sun was still up, but now you can see things are really starting to darken. Gordon, you mentioned now that this driver is heading back towards Altadena. It appears he is coming full circle to where this all began, which is not unusual in high-speed pursuits. Often the drivers we've experienced tend to go to areas that they're familiar with, the roads and the areas that they seem to know firsthand. So that could be what's happening here. This driver, we don't know if this person is from the Altadena area, but they certainly have gone over several Southern California freeways, everyone from the 110 to the 405 to the 118 to the 210, but now heading back to where police tried to pull him over in the first place. So, and again, you could see that driver using his turn signal. His lights are now on as this pursuit continues. here in La Crescenta on the 210.
And he certainly is weaving in and out of traffic, so you got to wonder, does he have a plan or is he just driving?
Yeah, he certainly, he hasn't run into a lot of traffic, so I think this is something that he hasn't had to deal with. He's kind of been able to cruise along, but now you can see, again, brake lights coming on as he just passed Pennsylvania Avenue, like you mentioned, Peter, La Crescenta. And it's good to see some of this traffic is actually pulling over to the side. They're noticing the lights and perhaps sirens behind them, and they are in the situation here on the freeway where there's actually not a ton of traffic. They're able to actually yield, and that's what they should be doing as traffic moves over for them. As we see more and more CHP units here joining the pursuit. We've seen some parked along some of these exits as well, so perhaps if he did decide to exit, then they would be prepared to sort of block that off, or perhaps a quick pit maneuver if necessary to get this to come to an end as we continue here on the 210 eastbound.
And this driver showed no signs of slowing down. Again, still going at a pretty high rate of speed, about 80 miles an hour. Again, Gordon, you mentioned he is hitting a little bit more traffic. You can see some of the vehicles have gotten out of the lane where this driver is headed, but it appears he's now getting onto another freeway. Can you tell us, Gordon, exactly where this is?
That was a quick transition. I mean, it looked like it was a very last-minute decision that he made off on, let me get this for you. Yeah, he just made this big transition here. Let's see, where's this mic? As he's continuing, I'll get you a marker here soon.
He did that transition
there, he's starting
really quick.
Yeah, he got over very fast.
Yeah, he moved over to the right. Yeah, now it looks like he's really trying to make some moves through this traffic. The CHP now looks like they have a light on him as well as he continues here to make his way. As he made that quick transition, and CHP now is finally catching up to him. So.
Well, now this is the La Cañada Flint Ridge area.
What freeway is this?
Is this the 2?
Are you hearing it?
Gordon,
Sorry,
do you think this is the southbound 2 freeway? From the 210, is this the 2 freeway? Near La Cañada Flint Ridge?
Yes, that's correct, Peter. The southbound 2 from the 210 is where he is right now. There you just see him.
Gordon, did he make any transitions?
He did. He's on the 134 now. He made the transition onto the 134 freeway as we see him continue to to really go without much traffic, nothing really in his way at all, as he continues to make those moves. And now he once in a while, just to get around a vehicle, we'll see him do that, but not anything too erratic. But he just continues to go, and this has covered quite a, I mean, I don't know what the mileage is now, but you mentioned the gas situation. We don't know if he had a full tank. He could still go for a while longer, but if that wasn't wasn't something that they were thinking about, then and who knows how much longer he could actually go in this pursuit as it continues. Desk, where is he now? Desk, please.
All right, well, I believe he's on the 134 freeway right now, Gordon. You can see the CHP light is also on this driver as he continues through Pasadena. The traffic is getting more congested right now as he weaves in and out of traffic. This is getting closer to where this pursuit all began in Altadena around 5:30 this evening. Ooh, still going at a pretty high speed, very close to several cars there. This is now getting a little bit more dangerous as we're now into the darkness and traffic is starting to build.
And you can see some drivers slowing down, trying to get out of this guy's way. And at this point, we still don't know if it's only the driver or if this driver has a passenger in the car as well. And we don't know if this person may be armed. Again, he was wanted in Altadena at about 5:30 for making some sort of criminal threat, and he didn't stop when police tried to stop him. That's how this all started.
Now, Gordon, what can you tell us?
Well, Peter is continuing on this. There he is at Orange Grove Boulevard, continuing on the 134. And yeah, I mean, nothing's much changed as far as the pursuit itself. I mean, CHP, again, it's almost become a circle here, but we've seen him. You can see now they have the CHP helicopter lights on him now as well. That helps a little bit. But the speeds now seem to be increasing a little bit as he has to get around some of this traffic. We've seen it 80 to 90 miles an hour, but it's never slowed down, to a considerable crawl at all. He's continued his pretty consistent speeds. Once in a while, as we pass Lake Avenue there, once in a while, though, he will pick up speeds. But CHP, again, keeping their distance. We have not seen them close in on this person recently, so this is the closest we've seen now as again he hits some traffic and he has to do a couple of quick maneuvers around a vehicle there in the carpool lane. So he continues to be in the fast lane. We've seen him stay in that lane quite a bit throughout this pursuit. I have no idea when they're asking.
And you can see several CHP vehicles still in pursuit of this driver right now on the 210 freeway in Pasadena. This driver now going a little faster than he was earlier. He's now going at about 90 miles per hour. A little bit more congestion right now. Other cars on the roads as well. But you can see this driver, he continues to weave around cars. Sometimes he's in the fast lane. Sometimes he gets over very quickly and gets onto other freeways.
But it looks like he is still in Pasadena on, now he's on the 210. Back on the 210? Is that correct, Gordon?
Yes, it looks like that's where he has made his way back on to the 210. And again, you know, moderate traffic. Once in a while, he'll hit pockets of traffic. Again, yes, the CHP helicopter now putting a light on that vehicle so they do identify which vehicle they are pursuing. CHP, again, they're backing off. We've seen the number of units. Sometimes they'll trade out which unit is pursuing. Again, this has gone on for quite a while now. I mean, we started on the air at 6 o'clock, of course, but we started following it about quarter till, and I believe this started around 5:15, 5:30 out of the Altadena area, and it continues now as he seems like he's done the loop here around, and continuing to go through traffic into that carpool lane area. Speed's picking up rather rapidly now, as you can see how fast he is going by this traffic as he makes a quick move now
really
into
the
fast lane again.
He is going a lot faster than earlier. It's unclear exactly why that is, because suddenly he is definitely picking up speed. I have to guess he's going at least 100 miles per hour now. Before he was going about 80 at a steady speed, but now definitely within the last few seconds picking up speed and really going fast and close to several cars.
And Gordon, is he still in the Pasadena?
Yeah, we see him applying brakes as well.
And is he still in the Pasadena area right now?
Yeah, yes, Andrew, he is. And now he's sort of blocked in here. Well, unless he makes a move into the carpool lane, but it looks like he's sort of hanging out in that one area.
And as you mentioned earlier, Gordon, what makes this a little tough for the CHP is the fact that this is happening on freeways, because unfortunately, until he gets off, they can't apply the pit maneuver. There have to be specific criteria in place for them to throw out spike strips or do something to sort of get this driver to stop. But as long as he's on the freeway and going relatively fast, they really have no choice, you mentioned, but to follow him. They just have to continue to tail him and see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely, Peter. I mean, they don't really have a lot of choices. I mean, all they can do is hope for the best, that, you know, this will end peacefully and he will just stop and get out, and they will take him into custody and no one else will get hurt. But again, they need to keep their safe distances. No pit maneuvers on a freeway in this situation, and no spike strips going to happen here either. So they just have to, you know, they're kind of at his mercy right now on what he might do, just waiting to see if he, at one point, he might pull off. But we have not seen him do that. We have seen him just go from one freeway to another, and he has done the.
And one thing we are now learning that the CHP has confirmed is that these speeds are now up to 115 miles per hour. So he went from 80 miles per hour to over 100 miles per hour at some points. It's unclear what sparked him to suddenly drive a lot more radically, but this high-speed pursuit still, I believe this is still on the 210. Again, this all began in Altadena, so this is sort of the same area where this all began around 5:30 this evening. So this is now reaching into the night here, more than an hour at this point. Gordon Spencer, can you tell us exactly where this driver is now or where he seems to be heading? Well, it seems like Gordon might be communicating with our assignment desk or talking to other helicopters right now. But again, this pursuit on the 210 freeway in Pasadena, you could see this driver definitely not slowing down. We are now told he drove up to 115 miles per hour. So definitely dangerous for the folks who are on the freeway right now.
Gordon, is this still in the Pasadena area?
Yes, Andrew, as far as we can tell, that is still where we are. Again, this has continued to move, and I apologize for some of the in and outs here we've had, but maneuvering a lot of helicopters in the air here, and but yeah, that's from what we understand. He's still in that area, and they continue just to follow him here, and I understand, Peter, you said that he did reach some higher speeds. I think when he did, we saw him kind of accelerate through some of that traffic. We saw him really pick up speeds, but he hasn't maintained it, so that's one reason that it's sort of stayed somewhat safe, if that's possible. But he is continuing to make that transition. I thought maybe he was getting over, but now he's continuing in that fast lane. CHP units keeping a pretty good distance right now.
And that must be frustrating for the CHP as they continue to follow this driver. As you continue to mention, Gordon, this driver, really, all they could do was just follow him until he gets off the freeway or starts to slow down, because at this point, as long as he's going very fast, and in some cases over 100 miles an hour, they don't have much recourse. They have to just continue to tail this driver as he continues this erratic dash to freedom, now on his sixth freeway, all beginning about an hour ago, crisscrossing across the 110, the 405, the 10, the 118, the 210, and now the 134. So this just continues to last into the night. This driver definitely driving erratically. The one thing he is doing is using his turn signal, but as you can see, he's very close to several other vehicles on the freeway. So it just continues at this point, and it's unclear exactly what the intentions are of this driver. If he intends to get off at any surface streets.
Yeah, he has not done that. Sort of in the Duarte area now, and coming up on the 605, we'll see if he makes any moves. Now he does. He does make a move now off.
He's taking that exit?
Yeah, the 605 is where he just exited off of. So he does make a move to the 605 freeway.
So now we're on to another freeway, it appears. This driver certainly has been going
the 605
all over Southern California.
605, Peter, if you can still hear me.
The 605 freeway now. So this driver has just been all over Southern California today, but
yeah, you got to wonder what is going through his head. Does he have a destination, or is he just driving?
Is he just driving wherever he can go?
That he didn't start off with a full tank of gas, because with speeds that high, going for over an hour now, we can only hope that he runs out of gas and this all ends peacefully. We can see that trail of CHP cars behind him. And Gordon, what happens, you know, we talk about the suspect running out of gas, but the CHP, they have to worry about that as well. Do they just continuously switch lead cars, I guess is the correct question, to make sure that their cars don't run out of gas as well?
Yeah, absolutely, Andrea. That's a great point, because, you know, obviously these officers, when they pick up a pursuit when it first starts, they might not have full tanks as well. So yeah, it's very, very well orchestrated where they're keeping an eye on things too, and they rotate units, rotate officers. So as something like that would come up, they can certainly make that change to bring other officers in, so they do not miss anything. The transition is smooth, but obviously they have the advantage. This person in this car does not, so we do not know how much longer this will last, but he's continuing to go southbound here on the 605 as he just passes Arrow Highway.
And you can see it almost looks like the freeway is shut down right now, just how empty it is. The 605 in Irwindale, he just got off the 210. So this driver really doesn't have anything standing in his way. He can continue to go at a pretty high speed. Again, he started off going at about 80 miles an hour. Then he speeded up about a half hour ago, I would say, up to 115 miles an hour. So as Andrew, you mentioned earlier, really it appears he's not going to get off at any surface street soon. So the CHP probably just waiting until his gas runs out at this point.
And it's so dark, and apparently he has tinted windows. We can't see if he's on a cell phone. A lot of times we see these drivers are talking on their cell phones as they're being pursued by the CHP. A lot of times we don't know if they're talking to family members or the police, trying to convince them to pull over. And many times we've seen them come out of the car, and this pursuit on their own, come out of the car still talking on their cell phones.
Gordon, can you give us an update right now exactly where this driver...
Yeah, sorry, Andrea, sorry, Peter. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have not seen any of that. Of course, you know, once in a while, you know, we do see a light We don't know if that's a reflection from the CHP unit or not, but once in a while we'll get a reflection. And now it looks like his hand is out the window somehow. He seems to be gesturing, waving somehow as well. So dark, hard to tell what that was, but we did see an arm come out the window in some sort of a gesture. I don't think he threw anything out the window, but there's some sort of a gesture, you know, perhaps toward officers in pursuit. Perhaps he wants to stop, but we do not know what that was all about. But we did see some sort of motion there from the car. Really the first time we've seen something like that, as far as some sort of a gesture that not really happy right now. Maybe doesn't know how to end this, doesn't know that he should just pull over and end it, and it'll end peacefully. But we see the CHP unit now getting a little closer. Perhaps that gesture had something to do with it. We do not, again, know what that gesture was, or if there was anything in his hand or not. It was so dark at the time he was doing that, so we weren't able to really be able to see that from our vantage point here.
And you really have to wonder what's going through this driver's mind. Again, since he made criminal threats around 5:30 this evening, if he perhaps has a weapon in the vehicle, the CHP has to be very careful with how they handle this driver, because if he's waving something out of the window, they certainly don't know exactly what that is. We saw what we believe was a cell phone used earlier this evening. That may be what this driver is using to try to communicate with people. But again, now into the hour here on the 605 freeway in Irwindale, the CHP still tailing this guy as he continues to speed. He has slowed down a little bit, though. Now it looks like he's going about 70 miles an hour, down from the 115 miles an hour he was driving earlier.
He passed an exit a little while ago.
And it looks like he is exiting.
He is exiting. What exit is this?
It looks like he is making some sort of a move onto the 10. So he's going back onto the 10 now, which is where sort of all this started. That was one of his first transitions. And let's continue to see if we can follow him there. He's
and it looked like he was picking up speeds while getting on the 10 as well.
Yeah, it did look like that as well as he was as we followed this transition. Bear with us for one moment here, but he's getting through this transition area, and we're waiting for CHP to come into view here. There he is. Oh, here we go. He's actually coming around. Mike, you see him? He's right underneath there. We'll have to see if we can get this turned around for you here, but CHP continues to follow. He's about 5 o'clock right now.
Well, one thing that we continue to notice is just how light traffic has been this evening. If this were probably any other day of the week, there would be a lot more traffic, and unfortunately that has played into this suspect's favor, because he hasn't had much to slow him down. Now back on the 10, where this pretty much all began at around 5:30 this evening. That was the first of several freeways that he began to speed on. So now he's back on the 10 again, and you can see the CHP still trying to follow this guy as he continues to move. He was waving something out of his hand earlier. It's unclear what he was trying to communicate, but right now he has no intention or doesn't seem to be wanting to stop.
No slowing down at all. It's interesting how traffic is relatively light in the direction that he's headed, but the opposite direction, I don't know if drivers are kind of being looky-loos, but traffic is certainly building up the opposite way. And
Gordon, where exactly is he right now?
Yeah, we just, as you mentioned, the transition to the 10, we're trying to get a bead on where he is exactly. West let's see, Baldwin Park area, West Covina, it looks like. I'm trying to get a bead right now, sorry, trying to keep an eye on him as well. Many things going on here, but he continues to head on the 10, and again, CHP, we saw him do a quick transition onto that. He made a quick move, but CHP obviously right on him, and that did not really do him any good, because they continue to follow him as we continue to see no traffic now. We've seen traffic going the other direction, but no traffic here, as far as he's concerned.
And it reminds us of the other quick move he made earlier this evening when he got onto the 118 earlier tonight. He went across several lanes of traffic very quickly, almost as if he was trying to perhaps lose some of the CHP vehicles that were tailing him. So he just did that again, getting onto the 10. So it appears that he knows what he's doing. He definitely is trying to lose the CHP.
Yeah, and he's going eastbound, Peter. Sorry, eastbound is where he is headed as we continue to follow this. Apologize for that misdirection, but he is headed eastbound right now.
Eastbound on the 10, okay.
Into the El Monte area is where he is now. So he has certainly covered a number of miles, considering it started in Altadena, made its way all the way through the LA area, all the way to the 405, up through the Sepulveda Pass, over to the 118, and then back to the 210, and then where we are now, back to the 10 and the 10 eastbound. As you can see, the 10 westbound is heavy traffic, so he would not be in good shape there. But 10 eastbound right now, very light traffic, not a lot of people heading that direction. And again, CHP continuing to keep a decent distance behind this person, again, wanted for some sort of criminal threat. Stop was attempted, and the stop was unsuccessful, and that is when the pursuit was called. And CHP has been on it ever since then. As we approach, almost, it's been over an hour now with this vehicle.
Yeah, hour and almost 20 minutes now. So you got to wonder where his gas gauge is right now. Hopefully he didn't start with a full tank of gas. As we've said during the course of this chase, we hope this ends peacefully. Maybe he just ends up running out of gas, and that would be a great end to this, and hopefully he comes out peacefully. And
well, the good news is so far it appears there have not been any crashes or people who have actually been hurt, but certainly many close calls. And again, with the speeds of up to 115 miles an hour, this is dangerous, especially in the dark. And the good thing is we have seen several of the other vehicles on the freeway sort of move out of the way for this driver as he continues to be chased by the police or the CHP. But again, very little traffic. It does appear there are some cars, though, right now that are sort of in the way. So it'll be interesting to see what he ends up doing here. And just to explain to our viewers, we're hearing Gordon in the background. He's got a lot to deal with here. He's trying to answer our questions here and maneuver in the sky as well. And he's not the only one up there. There are probably other news channels. There's also the CHP chopper. You can see the chopper right in his shot there, possibly a CHP chopper there. So he's dealing with a lot now, and so that's why we're kind of hearing him in the background there. Let's see, is he went in the carpool lane again, it looks like, and it looks like he's picking up speeds again. Yeah, he's definitely getting, it's interesting how at some points he slows down, at some points he speeds up again. Still really interesting because, it appears that there are times when he sort of has a steady speed, but then suddenly he'll move across all lanes of traffic to get on another freeway. And here he is going in between cars, weaving in and around other cars. So this really is a dangerous situation when you consider a lot of people out on a Sunday night, 6:45 in the evening, probably not expecting anything like this. He looked like he definitely slowed down there for a second. Yeah, but still, he's just going in and around these cars, and that's the danger in all this, is the CHP wants to make sure that people are safe. They just continue to tail him in West Covina. I believe he's now on the 10 freeway eastbound, which is the freeway this all began on at around an hour ago, 5:30 or so. But several freeways involved in this pursuit today, everything from the 118 to the 405, the 10, the 118, the 210, the 134, the 605, and now the eastbound 10. So traffic very light right now. You can see it's actually starting to pick back up quite a bit. So, and it looks like he is slowing down. Yeah, I don't have him, TOC. I don't have him. And the question that everyone wants to know is, when will his gas gauge run out? Because this has been going on for so long at such high speeds. I mean, he must have had a full tank when this whole thing began. Incredibly. An hour and a half now that this has been going on. Right. So, and again, he hasn't slowed down much. And, the CHP really don't have much of a recourse, able to stop him. They can't issue the spike strips. They can't do pit maneuvers until he slows down. The circumstances have to be just right for them to be able to implement some of those tactics that they use. And unfortunately, in this case, as he continues along the freeways here at a very high speed, they can't really do much but follow him. So other drivers' safety is top priority, you would imagine, with the CHP. And it looks like they're getting a little bit closer. It's hard to decipher, space-wise, but it looks like CHP is getting a little closer on him. But last check, this was the eastbound 10 in West Covina. And I don't know if Gordon can hear us. We're wondering if okay, it doesn't sound like Gordon can hear us right now. But we've been wondering all night if he's kind of making some loops. This all started in Altadena, and he's crossed over several freeways. And now we're just wondering, where is this guy going? And that's a question on everyone's mind. It appears, like you said, Andrea, he is making a full loop here since this all began in in Altadena. Now he's in West Covina. Often as the case with these types of pursuits, the drivers tend to go where they're familiar. Certainly this driver just has been going over several freeways all throughout the Southland. So the question is whether or not he knew exactly where he was going, if he intended to get back to the area where this all started, or if he just wanted to just hop on whatever freeway he could find. So, and we saw him swerve across several lanes of traffic, the 118 and also the 605 earlier tonight. Now he's on the 10 in West Covina, and again, you could see traffic again light. So, you know, this is just going to continue, it appears, until this driver seems to run out of gas, because at this point, until he gets off the surface streets, until he starts to really slow down, the CHP don't have any options.
Yeah, and you're right. It looks like the traffic has thinned out quite a bit. Just a couple of seconds ago, traffic was getting heavier, and it makes us as viewers nervous as he weaves and gets pretty close to cars. And as a driver on the freeway, you got to imagine how scary that is to see choppers above you, lights and sirens blaring, and speeding cars going past you. A lot of drivers have been very safe, either staying put in their lanes or moving over to the right if they can. So everybody, including this suspect, has been pretty safe. Besides, you know, his high rate of speeds, he's been using his blinker almost this whole time as well.
And Gordon, I believe we have you again. Can you tell us what you're seeing from Sky 2?
Yes, Peter. They're coming up on the 7157 transition here. Still continuing eastbound out here just past Covina, the Covina area. So we'll have to see if he makes some sort of a transition onto one of the, oh, well, you do see him now getting off on the, he did make an exit.
The question is whether he's going to get off onto surface streets, or if he's going to get back onto the freeway, or if he's intending to even try to slow down at any point. But at this point, right now, it's really hard to see in the dark.
Looks like CHP is right up on his tail, though, huh?
It looks like,
yeah, northbound 57 is looked like what he's now onto. The northbound 57. I'm going to stay with him here. Is that right, Mike? Northbound 57. Yeah, northbound 57 is the transition. Apologize for that. We didn't know which one he was going to take, and we did get the confirmation that he's going to the northbound 57 right now. So he is certainly, again, I know you've mentioned this on a number of occasions, but he has shown no pattern of where he wants to go, where he wants to end up, as he has covered so many of these LA area freeways that we don't know if it is just going to be a run out of gas situation, because again, this has been going, we think, for about, you know, the actual pursuit. We started it about an hour ago here on in Sky 2, but it's been going over an hour and a half probably before that, or I should say a half hour before that. So we know he's been running gas pretty, you know, he's been going for quite a while right now.
And Gordon, I know you're doing a bunch up in Sky 2, but have you heard anything more over the scanners as far as whether CHP has made contact with this driver or police?
No, no details on that, Andrea, on any more description, or the original one, like we said, was some kind of, sort of a criminal threat. The only thing that we identified earlier is that they confirmed there was one person in this vehicle, but they have not told us anything else about, you know, if the person has tried to make contact or someone's been in contact with them. We know, what, just about 15 minutes ago, we did see him make some sort of gesture out the window with his hand or his arm. We don't know if that was a gesture or something was tossed. There we see him putting his left turn signal on again. We've seen him do that quite a number of times. We have not seen him really slow down much. I know speeds have reached up to 115 miles an hour, but he's been pretty consistently going, you know, around 80 miles an hour. And some of those freeway transitions too have been very erratic as well. And as he's certainly picked up speeds going through a lot of those transitions, but you kind of get the idea he doesn't know where he wants to go, because those transitions come up and he makes a pretty erratic move just to get onto that next freeway as he continues here on the northbound 57 freeway.
Erratic is the right word, because he's not only weaving in and out of traffic at times, but he speeds up and then he slows down, speeds reaching up to 115 miles an hour. And then sometimes he'll go back to 70, 80 miles an hour. So you just question what's going on in his head.
Yeah, now he's approaching the 210 again. So he's made his way back to the freeway he's been on a couple of times now. We'll see if he makes that move. Yeah, looks like he's going to get onto the 210 westbound here, as he really has no choice, because the the freeway ends here, so he has to choose one, and he's going to go back onto the 210 westbound as we see him pick up pretty good speed here, making that transition onto the 210 west.
Well, we've been talking, Gordon, we've been following this now for almost an hour, and he's almost made 2 loops, it seems like. This all started in Pasadena, and now he's heading westbound on the 210 again.
Absolutely, Andrea, that is true. We have seen him come back around, so you don't know if he's trying to eventually get back to that area or not, but he definitely is heading to that area now for the second time. Now, the other thing that he might run into now is we did see, there was some traffic going westbound, so we don't know now if that could be an issue for him now that he's on the 210 westbound. We didn't see any eastbound issues, but maybe now that could be something that becomes a factor here as CHP continues this pursuit, and you see them trying to keep up, and they're going to have to make some maneuvers here through the traffic as we do see
Gordon, I'm going to cut you off
now,
because we're going to be ending here, but viewers can watch this on KCAL 9 News. We'll see you back here at 11 on CBS 2 News.
We begin with breaking news on KCAL 9 News at 8. A long pursuit made its way through several local freeways. The chase lasted more than 2 hours, starting around 5:30 this evening. It began in Pasadena. Pasadena police now confirm they have called off the chase. No reason given.
At one point, the chase took an extremely dangerous turn. The suspect sped on the wrong side of the street and almost hit another car. No one was hurt. Again, police have called off the chase but are still searching for that driver.